and welcome back to Audio Inside Scoop. Now we've covered the Austin, we've covered the Nashville, which if you haven't seen those guys already, make sure you check them out. But I have a special treat for you guys today. You've been asking for it, I've seen it in so many comments, and do you guys know what just released today? Today, March 11th, you can finally head on out to the store and pick up your very own Klipsch Detroit. Currently the biggest and baddest in the Klipsch Music City lineup, and I'm excited to yank it out of the box and see what we're working with. Welcome guys to what I believe is the very first ever Klipsch Detroit unboxing and review. Now it promises some awesome specs, and we're here today to see if it lives up to that hype that we have all seen on paper. Now, I typically dive right into a side-by-side with similar products and cover two items at once, but because this is such a fresh product, I wanted to drop a review as quickly as possible. As such, I'm gonna break this into a five-part segment, I guess, if you include the Here With Me segments. Part one is today. We're gonna break this guy out of the box and go over some specs. Then I'm gonna give it a listen and tell you guys my thoughts. Next, we're gonna throw it up against the JBL line, starting with the Charge 5. Following that, because the Detroit lands kind of right in between the Charge and the Xtreme, we're gonna throw it up against that guy as well. After that, we'll do some Here With Me segments so you guys can get ears, microphone plus ears on it as well. Guys, hit that subscribe button now. Make sure that you don't miss an episode. These are gonna be some pretty epic battles. For now though, for this episode, I cannot wait any longer. Let's get it out of the box and check it out. All right, so first off in the box, we have the Klipsch Detroit Owner's Manual. Next, let's yank out the USB. So this is gonna be a USB-C to C. All right, guys, here is the moment, the very first ever eyes on the Klipsch Detroit. There it is, the Klipsch Detroit. All right, here we have the Klipsch Detroit out of the box and ready to go. This is, I believe, the very first time anybody set eyes on this product, so I'm excited to get moving on it. Before we do though, in the box, we did have our owner's manual, USB-C to C cable, and it came in a nice pretty little bag thingy, but I wouldn't call that necessarily a travel bag or anything like that. It's more so just for the packing, similar to what we had in the Austin and the Nashville. To give you an idea of size, let's go ahead and sit it next to our Austin and Nashville and get a shot of the whole family side by side. All right, there it is, the Klipsch Austin, the Klipsch Nashville, and the Klipsch Detroit, all side by side. Now, as for specific size, this guy is going to come in at 13.1 inches by 4.2 inches by 4.68 inches, and it's going to weigh 5.4 pounds. Now, while it is on the larger side, based on the specs promised, I feel like this is still a pretty great size to still give you that output, that functionality, and still remain portable. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to take this guy on a plane with me. I'd probably grab the Nashville or the Austin for that, but I could definitely see this thing being a great road trip companion. I could see people taking it camping or to the basketball courts or to the skate park or really anywhere that you can just toss it in the car and go. Now, before I had mentioned the promised specs, so let's touch on those for you guys that have not seen them yet. We covered size a second ago, so let's dive right into sound and what makes the sound. The Detroit features two 3-inch woofers and two 1-inch tweeters and 4 passive radiators. The spec sheet shows a frequency range of 55 Hz to 20 kHz. I'll also note here again that Klipsch offers an app to EQ your speakers to your liking, which will be a pretty great deal for those like me that like to do a little bit of tweaking. Now, as for battery, it is rechargeable using an included USB Type-C cable and can rock out for an insane 20 hours of playback time and only takes about 2 hours to recharge. Also, similar to the Nashville, the Klipsch gives you the reverse charging capabilities on the Detroit as well. If your Detroit is still full, but your phone's almost dead, plug your phone into the Detroit and keep on rocking out. Keep the party going, keep your phone up and running as well. As for connectivity, it's no surprise that we're utilizing Bluetooth 5.3 here, as it's the same chip that we saw in the Nashville and the Austin. Including the latest generation of Bluetooth will increase your battery life, have less interference, enhance security, and better overall quality of the connection. This Bluetooth generation also boasts the ability to reach up to 40 feet from the connected device. While on connectivity, let's also talk about broadcast mode. This feature allows you to connect multiple speakers together and stream to them simultaneously. You can also put them in true wireless stereo pair configuration and have one as your left and one as your right. That said, if you and your friends have a bunch of these things or many speakers that support this feature, you can place them all over and play to them all at once. I've been using this feature on the Austin and the Nashville connected together, and it's awesome. Adding the additional speakers, even if the goal isn't to blow you away and max out your volume, but just to fill the nulls and voids in the room, I feel it greatly improves your experience, and you don't have to just stop at 2 or 3. They say 10 or more can connect in this method, so just keep beefing up your party scene. I've even heard that some have connected 13 or 14 with no issues. I can't imagine the functional use case for this, but still awesome as a techie side note. If you guys have played with this feature and have had a ton connected, hit me up in the comments and let me know how many you've put together like this. I'd like to hear if someone's ever maxed it out and how many speakers it took to do that. Lastly, in connectivity, I will mention that the Detroit has a microphone, which is not always a common thing in this realm. This means that you can leave your phone in your pocket or wherever you have it stashed and take a call directly through your speaker. Now let's talk about some of the lifestyle aspects. The Detroit is IP67 rated, which means not only is it waterproof at 1 meter for 30 minutes, but it also has dust proofing. So you should be safe taking these guys almost anywhere. Pool, beach, shower, mud hole in the middle of the woods should be fine. I'll mention as always, however, that waterproofing and dust proofing on any electronics will degrade over time. As such, maybe use these guys in harsh conditions sparingly. Or not, your call. I take mine on a 4-wheeler on every episode and throw it in a bathtub, so. Up to you guys, whatever you want to do with your speaker is your business. Finally, let's talk about price. This guy just released today and you can pick it up for $299. This is the same retail price as we're going to see the Marshall Middleton, and it falls kind of in the middle of the JBL Charge and the JBL Xtreme, which are $179 and $379 respectively. Now, there is a lot that can be said about this guy on paper, but what I really want to know is, what does it sound like? I'm going to go and rock out for a little while, and I will get back to you on that. Please stand by. All right, I am back. Now, I'm gonna do my regular tests, my longer tests, my more intense tests on this guy when I do the compares. I'll take it out in the woods, on some rides, I'll dunk it, the usual, but today, to make sure that I can launch this video right away for you guys, I stuck to just a single standard room. And here's what I found so far. Now, I always start off with some low volume tests. A lot of speakers have trouble performing and reaching lower frequencies at lower volumes when they aren't really able to get those drivers moving. It did not seem to have trouble reproducing those lows at about 25 to 30% volume. Now, obviously, as we crank it up, we're gonna hear all the frequencies a little bit more. So moving up to 50%, 75%, and higher volumes, I did get increased bass response, but that's kind of to be expected in these product categories, but I was not disappointed at low volumes either. So you could see kind of me flipping through my playlist in the listenings, and I listened to quite the variety of music and kind of low volume, high volume, mid volume, back and forth all over the place. It was able to keep up no matter what I threw at it. And honestly, like what I noticed most in these smaller speakers, you see a lot of times that when the woofers start to kick in, that the high frequencies kind of drop and cut off a little bit. So it's gonna kind of crimp those vocals in order to produce enough power to the woofers to be able to give you that oomph, that power in the low frequency end. I did not see that in this speaker. The low frequencies don't interfere with the high frequencies and vice versa. So you see a lot of kick. It doesn't cut off the high frequencies. It doesn't cut off the vocals. So you're still hearing full range clarity throughout the spectrum. Now, as for low frequencies, this guy did pretty awesome there as well. I did not expect it to shake my room when I turned up the volume all the way. So I did do listening at 100% volume in some cases. I'd say anywhere from like 75% to 100% volume, it was shaking the room. And again, in addition to performing in that low frequency category, it was able to still reproduce the highs simultaneously, which again, I keep mentioning this, that's probably my favorite thing about this so far, is it doesn't compromise one side to give you the other. It is able to reproduce full frequency, full range simultaneously and give you a great listening experience. Now, as for the soundstage, In a small box like this, it is difficult to reproduce any kind of soundstage. We did notice in, say, like the Nashville versus the Flip, that the Nashville was able to produce a better soundstage than the Flip, but it was still kind of limited because you have your drivers are only so far apart. So it's kind of difficult to make it seem like it's this wide. Now, as we get out into this larger cabinet in this larger box, it was able to reproduce soundstage a little bit better. I was able to hear the difference between left and right speakers. Now, it's still not the same as having two speakers, which is going to be where the broadcast mode will come in handy. If you're really seeking that multi-channel setup, if you're really seeking that multi-channel listening experience, then you can actually get two of these and put them as a stereo pair. But even as a single unit, I was still able to differentiate left and right and kind of pick it apart. Now, the depth, that is another whole story in itself. This thing was producing depth like I have not heard in a portable speaker before. I did get a sense of where different people were as they were playing in the room while listening, and that soundstage really is something that is fairly unique to Klipsch in the portable speaker market, in most speakers as well, but specifically in the portable speaker market, you don't have a soundstage typically, not much of one anyways. So for them to be able to produce that depth and that distance between the front of house, back of house, stage right, stage left, just to be able to reproduce that soundstage, I feel like is a really unique experience that you get through Klipsch that you don't get through a lot of other portable speakers. Now, one thing that I did try out while I had this was I took a call on it. What was funny is in the manual, it doesn't necessarily touch on taking calls. It talks about how it can take calls and how it does have a microphone and you can speak on it. But my worry was that I'm not going to be able to answer it. I'm going to have to pull the phone out of my pocket in order to answer it. So for those of you who are buying this, it is just the Bluetooth button. You push the Bluetooth button and it will answer the call. You push the Bluetooth button again and it will hang up on the person that you're talking to. So call clarity was great. I discussed it with the person that I was talking to and they said they could hear me great. So multifunction speaker is awesome. One other thing that I did not mention earlier is that the strap is removable and adjustable. So you can see these little spots here, and this actually comes out and it'll slide through the speaker and release the strap. Or you can move it up to tighten or whatever you want to do. It is at a pretty good spot here, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And I found that I was using the strap. Every time I went to pick it up, I was carrying it by the strap, which unless you have some fairly large hands, that seems like it's going to be the best method of carrying the speaker. Now, all of that said, I was able to find one con, which only finding one con, usually on these type of speakers, these portable speakers, you have a stockpile of things that you wish they had done better, you would wish they had changed and so forth, but I was able to find one con. And essentially what that is I'm not able to skip tracks, which is kind of strange. You can do that from headphones, Bluetooth headphones. You can press and hold the volume up key. You'd think it would be something similar to that, but when you press and hold the volume up key, you're just increasing the volume. When you press the double tap the volume up key, you're increasing the volume. There is no way that I could find thus far to skip forward and backwards. Now, play and pause, you can press the Bluetooth button and it'll play and pause. So you can pause, you can play, but you cannot skip tracks that I have found from this speaker. Maybe in a firmware update or something to that effect, it will be added, but as of right now, that's all I'm seeing. So if you guys have the Austin, Nashville, or if you picked this guy up today and know exactly how to do this, let me know in the comments. That's about all I have for you guys today. I am loving this thing so far. The charge is slotted to arrive in the mail today, so expect a Charge versus Detroit video soon. Detroit versus Xtreme shortly after, and then some Here With Me episodes trailing behind that. I'm not even close to done with this guy. So let me know anything in the comments below, what you think I've missed, what you'd like to see me cover in future episodes. I'd be happy to take a note and jump into it. Also, as I said before, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button below before you go. So much more content coming your way on the Detroit as well as on other speakers. So much more content coming your way in the near future. Until next time though, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you soon for more on the Detroit and more audio inside scoop.